Yo, what's up guys, it's Talon, and today we're going to be talking about how we're adding Syndra to our champion pool. So starting off with the draft, the reason we draft Syndra here, she's really good into very squishy short range champions. Just on an early game, very short range, can kind of outrange most of this comp. They're also very squishy, and is just generally a pretty consistent blind pick as well, so it's usually safe in most scenarios, but that's why we picked it there. And then in terms of the spells, we end up going for Exhaust because they don't have a ton of CC apart from Morgana. So having that, exhaust to stop burst damage from Aatrox or Lee Sin or something like that is pretty valuable for us. So one of the main questions I get asked about Syndra is, when do you pick Orianna versus Syndra? They're very similar champions, but they do have some, differences as well. For Syndra, she's better at outranging champions, so any champion that struggles more into her range, or who, if you just need longer range, she's better at that. She's better at one-shotting an individual champion. She has higher single target damage, obviously her ultimate being single target. But she struggles more into tanks than Orianna because Orianna has a bit more overall damage per second, and also can hit multiple people at once, so can kind of target backlines and also hit front lines sometimes at the same time. Obviously Orianna, or Syndra rather, does have some amount of AoE, but it's a lot less than Orianna. Orianna is a bit more good at solo carrying a game, like completely by herself. But Syndra's a bit stronger as a champion overall. So those are kind of the differences. Basically, I'll pick Orianna if I have a champion who I can combo really well with, the third ability plus ultimate. For Orianna, so like a Wukong often works well, for example, or if the enemy are a bit tankier. And like I said, if they're a bit squishier, or I don't have a great combo champion, or I just want a little bit of a stronger lane phase, I'll go for Syndra. And then when we're going to play the lane phase, usually the main goal is just get as many stacks as possible by poking the enemy whenever they go up for last hits. As you see here, whenever Morgana puts herself in the easy position, I'm pretty much just hitting her if she's going for a last hit, or if I just know I'm going to land it, a first ability or second ability. And I'm pretty much just playing to crash this wave on wave 4 so that I can then recall for my boots. That's pretty much the angle you're looking for nearly every game. Every once in a while, the enemy will give you a chance to solo kill them if they really suck, but most of the time, they're not going to actually let you solo kill because you're going to see I just run out of mana. Like, I just don't have enough mana to usually kill unless I get a lot of autos in, or if I took Ignite. But I'm not going to take Ignite because it's a lot worse later on in the game, and I still don't have that good of a chance of solo killing. So instead, we just play for, again, the mana boots, looking for a recall right after we get enough gold for that, and that's pretty much that. It's, again, a very straightforward early game almost every time. The enemy walk up for last hit, use a first or second ability on them, try to get the wave slowly pushing, crash it on wave 3 or wave 4. When you have mana boots, recall every time. Very, very straightforward. If you guys want to know the exact build, by the way, just go to my playlist, go to the champion overview section of the playlist, and I have the build for Syndra there, as well as the other champions I'm playing in mid lane. I'm currently not really getting games very quickly as mid lane. Like this stream, I played 3 mid lane games, queuing mid lane, and then after that, I couldn't find mid lane games. So I've started trying to queue jungle a little bit, because queuing jungle, I can at least find games because less people play that role. Queuing autofill gets annoying because I don't like getting certain roles anymore. I mean, I've climbed autofill, top 10 on the server 3 separate seasons, but at this point, it's just kind of like, it's just not very fun playing some of these roles in solo queue, so just probably going to have more jungle gameplay, most likely, if I'm able to find games playing jungle. But here, when the Morgana ends up roaming and giving you kind of a free wave, you pretty much just take it for plates. Like, that's really all you have to do, and that's usually going to be what you do whenever the enemy rotate. If you have the wave pushing, you just take a plate, get the gold advantage in lane, and everything's fine, because then even if the enemy get it killed, you're fine. Lee Sin obviously ganked us there, so we had to flash. So losing our flash is not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. Our team is going really over aggressive, and this is an unfortunate thing that will happen sometimes. There's going to be some matchups or some situations where you just don't have lane priority, and sometimes your jungle is going to force scuttles or force fights. And if I was in a position to help him, if I had higher health, if I'd pushed the wave, I could go help. But I'm low health. There was no reason for me to stay there. I just have to accept that Nautilus is randomly dying for no reason. Not really much I can do about that. Whereas a lot of people kind of try to overforce in those scenarios. But as a champion like Syndra, Orianna, those types of champs, you really can kind of play very selfishly in a majority of situations because your champion scales so well. If I was a champion, if I was like, let's say, I don't know, Jace early game, right? I'd be much more inclined to help him if he's in that situation, even if it's not ideal for me because I kind of need to find some type of advantage. But instead, I'm going to look for a roam after I crash a wave. So here, I pushed my wave already. I have quite a bit of time, and so now I can look for a very easy roam here, get the ult onto Lulu so she's really low so that Kai'Sa can kill, and then we poke out the Tristana here as well. So this is a much better angle to roam rather than, you know, roaming when I was really low health and everything like that. And so you can see I'm kind of taking advantage of the proper timers, getting a bit of an early lead over to my team because we didn't actually get the kills. Then we even have the angle to dive Morgana right after here, which is exactly what we do. And she does end up getting a kill out of it. But we get plates, we get kills, we get our gold. So even then, I'm 0-0-3, Morgana's 1-1 and 2, and I'm still a little bit ahead of her in gold, which is pretty nice. And again, Morgana, kind of a hard champion to get a huge lead on because she's pretty much just AFK farming, you know, with her puddle on the wave all the time. But even in those situations, we still managed to already get to our entire first item by first dragon, which is extremely fast. And that's largely due to the fact that we got a plate out of mid lane. We made sure we got all of the mid lane waves that we could. And then we simultaneously got some plates from our roam in bottom lane, or to top lane rather. So just all of those kind of things leading to a pretty advantageous situation for us overall. And we're in a really good situation to kind of scale up into the late game, which is usually the goal with Syndra. Obviously, you guys haven't seen me playing much Syndra this season, but I did play a lot of it last season. And again, it's very similar to Orianna in terms of like the play style and everything like that. So again, here we just go, we push mid lane, and then after we push mid, we have a choice to either roam or to go for turret. And in this case, we go for turret because it doesn't look like there's probably much impact we can have. Our teammates are already nearly dead or, you know, not there, right? So of course, just getting this mid lane gold again is just going to be more beneficial for us. And every time that we can trade evenly or trade up in terms of gold, I'm pretty happy. And now I'm just going to take this opportunity to roam bottom lane because all of the enemy are mid lane. There's no wave in mid, so it just makes sense to see if I can find an angle to get something. And then because of that, I believe we end up getting a lot of this turret, if not the entire turret, with the Scorpion. And yeah, we got most of the turret. Volibear had to run away because he got poked out. I'm kind of just skipping through again. We're mostly focused on a lot of the macro, so I don't always show like every small part. But again, here now we're just covering the bot wave, and luckily our Volibear went to mid wave initially. Then we can recall, we can come back to mid, and I believe we're like chilling. We don't lose anything. And now at this point, Morgana makes a pretty big mistake. You see she roams bottom lane. Roaming to bottom lane on a wave means that we pretty much get this entire turret, as you can see. I stick around because I want the turret gold, and then right after this, we go top side, and now I get 2 free top waves. And so I've already gotten Soul Stealer because I'm just getting so much additional gold from other like lanes. Again, we got some of our mid lane gold initially. Then on our roam, we made sure to take top plates. Then on our other roam, we made sure to take the bottom lane plates with the Volibear. And then after getting, again, that mid turret at the end there, which was only possible because of the fact that we got it lower earlier, we then go back to top side to get an additional wave. So I'm catching a lot of waves, kind of putting myself in a good situation to get as much gold as possible here. And then even here, we go bottom lane to try to catch this wave. Turns out the Volibear ends up going there. So we just stick around in mid. So in this case, we probably could have gotten an additional wave, but we want to make sure we don't lose our mid turret. Because that's the other thing. Like, once you get to the point where you're having pretty good gold like I am at this point in the game, what becomes equally as important, if not more important, is just protecting turrets. So in this case, again, our mid and our top turret are alive. So anytime I can, I want to just protect that turret rather than like going too aggressive or doing too much. And then here, I end up realizing I should just buy 2 amplifying tomes because it's slightly more AP. And then again, we took that recall because we didn't really have much to do. There was nowhere to roam to and no turrets to take. There was no wave in mid at the time. And so we just take a free recall. We spend our 1,000 gold. We get 50 more IP so that we're a lot stronger for the fight. And that's basically, like, again, a common thing that you want to make sure you understand is, like, if you have nothing better to do with your time and you have some gold, you might as well oftentimes just recall. Lee Sin does some weird Lee Sin stuff. I don't really know what he was doing there. But luckily our Nautilus is kind of there to save the day, and then we're able to get the kill. I didn't even need to ult. I didn't realize that he would get one shot. But now when it comes to team fights, I want you guys to kind of notice my camera is like I'm using the semi-lock camera in a majority of these situations to see as far as I can across the map. So if you don't know what like semi-lock camera does, it basically is that if you look in the top right of my screen, you see the little eye. That little eye, basically what it does is if you drag the eye, you will get you can like lock your camera in a different position. So instead of your character being directly in the center of your screen, your character can be at like closer to the bottom of your screen or closer to the top of your screen, so you can see more behind you or you know, above you or whatever. And it basically just allows you to have greater field of view on whatever part of the map you actually need to see at the time. And this is really good for long range mages like Syndra, because you can pretty much keep track of the entire fight rather than feeling kind of lost or like you don't have vision of certain, you know, situations, that type of thing. And I would say this is the one setting that I actually use that is different than like just the normal default settings. I use pretty much only the default settings except for this one setting. In semi-lock camera, it's 100% super important, and so I kind of want you guys to notice throughout these fights how I'm using it to sort of just get better angles, have better vision of the fight, and kind of just overall makes the mechanics of everything a lot easier. We'll kind of focus on that a little bit in the team fights, because that's kind of what after you farm for these first 10-11 minutes, once the Baron spawns, it starts being a lot more of just hover around the mid lane, hover around the Baron side of the map, make sure you're poking out the enemy, make it hard for them to walk into many areas, and it's pretty much just that. Like it's pretty straightforward once you get to this point in the game. Here, obviously, because of the fact that our Nautilus is on the turret, we're going to go for the turret with him. And again, we're just going to poke out the Aatrox so we can get some stacks on ourselves. We want to make sure, obviously, we're getting those stacks up constantly. And then at this point, we have exhaust, so Aatrox is not really able to do that much. He does heal a bunch because he's Aatrox. Sadly missed my first ability, third ability there. Should have been able to hit that on Lulu and she would have died, so a little unfortunate. I'm kind of trying to sneak an ultimate here. I'm also trying to get my ult evolved, which we then end up getting. So now that I have my ult evolved, I can kind of one-shot people pretty easily, and I have a lot higher range on my ultimate as well. So we're kind of looking for anything here. I keep missing my first ability, third ability combos, so we don't get any kills in these situations, but it's not the end of the world. And at that point, you just see there we're able to get the one-shot onto Tristana. She was basically half health with that Lulu shield, and we still just one-shot her. And you're going to see kind of this burst damage, really. It is all about the farming in the early game, leading to you being in a position to one-shot people around this Baron. Because even now, 12 minutes, 15 seconds into the game, I have my death cap. If you're able to get death cap around when Baron spawns, you're always very happy. Obviously, Sweet Tooth plus First Strike plus Seed Jar makes it a lot easier to get those item spikes a little earlier than you otherwise would. So it's always something I'm kind of paying attention to. Because once you hit death cap, you're kind of like, you don't need to focus on farm anymore. I mean, I'm not saying that you want to like not farm. You can see I'm still going to take waves. I'm still going to try to get gold. But once you hit that death cap, if you hit it at a good timer, all of the other items will just kind of come naturally just through the normal progression of the game. Like just through normally getting, you know, CS when it comes, like minions, getting kills just because of the fact that you're going to one-shot so many people, getting your first strike procs, your Sweet Tooth stuff, all of that. And so again, you can see kind of here at this point, I'm using my camera again to make it so that I can see a further like part in front of me. You can just see I'm kind of constantly slightly adjusting it so my champion is just able to basically get vision of whoever I can. And then here we just one-shot the Lee Sin, just completely one-shot him. I make sure I focus on getting that wave so that I can just get some more gold. And then obviously it's pretty straightforward. I mean, their jungler is dead, so we're mostly just poking them out again. And again, you can see in this fight, like, look how I drag my camera. So now I can see the left. So now I'm on the far right of my screen, so I can see a lot more on the left side. So I just have better vision of everyone in this fight. And then I'm just making sure to stay out of the engage range of a champion like Aatrox. And at that point, it's pretty straightforward. So again, it just allows me to keep track of the entire fight rather than just being focused on, like, you know, like sometimes someone's like slightly off your screen and they kill you. Like, for example, Varus can basically do damage to you off your screen if you don't have, you know, the semi-lock camera. Or other champions with really high range, or obviously just a champion might come out of nowhere and you won't expect it. So then at this point, we're just going to get the Baron here. It's pretty straightforward. Their jungler is alive, so we're kind of trying to make sure we can zone him if we need to, but he ends up running away, so we're perfectly fine. And I'm just over the wall so I don't take the Baron damage. And now we have Baron. It's kind of straightforward from here. We're just trying to poke out the enemy. I guess I forgot that I one-shot this person, so I kind of skipped ahead. But you can look at this damage. Like, the Tristana walks in to the bush, and I literally just completely one-shot her. Like, just insane burst damage. Unfortunately, Lee Sin steals our soul. So we don't get soul, but it is alright. Not the end of the world. He loses his flash as well. We still have the Baron to push. And so at this point, again, pretty straightforward. We go through mid lane. We make sure that we stay out of range of Aatrox. We let our teammates push the top and the bottom lane wave so that those can sync up with the mid wave. And then once all those waves are hitting turrets at the same time, there's no real way the enemy can defend all three turrets at once. Here we can obviously kind of rotate towards top side now because there's not much to do in mid lane. And then we just kind of come back to mid when the wave's coming. We're kind of just looking to see if there's anywhere we can maybe poke someone out at. Again, using the field of view from the semi-lock camera setting to just try to poke someone out. Unfortunately, I do take a bit too much damage there, but again, we're in a pretty straightforward spot where we pretty much just push mid lane, and now that we've pushed the mid lane turret fully, we can just play for the top lane inhib and kind of just keep focusing that, seeing if we can poke anyone out. Nautilus gets a really nice engage. We follow up with our first ability, third ability, and at that point, the game is pretty much over. So yeah, I kind of just wanted to show you guys because we are playing Syndra again after not playing her as much. Definitely been having good success with her at the start of the season. Again, I'll also be playing more jungle probably for a couple days until my matchmaking is short enough that I can find games playing mid lane. Because I do want to play mid lane, but sometimes I just can't because of the matchmaking times taking like 20 minutes. So yeah, I mean, that was pretty much it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one.